it's easy to be delusional, right? And be like, oh my gosh, I just read Job, right? And God took everything from Job and then he gave it back. So basically God needs to work on me. And so he took this man from my life, but then once I get better, he's going to bring this man back and then we're going to have a great relationship and it's going to be perfect. No.
Rolls Royce pull up, black boy hop out. Shout out to my mother and my father didn't pull out.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bri if you're new here, and if you're a returning subscriber, hey girl, hey girl, hey. I just kind of wanted to come and talk to y'all low-key, rawly. I don't usually do this, but I finished reading Job. I told y'all I was reading that in one of my previous videos, and I spent a decent amount of time last night talking to God about it, and you know, just trying to gain understanding. And I'm not perfect, I don't understand it all, but I just kind of wanted to share with y'all some things that I was thinking. And if you see the same outfit on another video, mind your business, friend. You guys, I finished reading Job, and you know, I'm asking God to reveal things to me. And basically what I want to say is this disclaimer: I do not fully understand every single thing, and I can't speak to every single thing, but I kind of want to share a little bit of like what I was getting from it and like the conversation I was having with God. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, please like, comment, and subscribe and join my family. I think that we're mad cool over here, and I would really love to have you be a part of my family. We just holy misfits over here, you know what I'm saying? I am not perfect by any means, but I love God. I love God so much, and he has done crazy works in my life. So I just want to share that with people. First, I want to start with, there's just been this like sentence in my mind, right? And it's like, how much more so will you suffer? How much more so will I suffer? How much more so will we suffer? So when I was reading Job, right, Satan, I'm paraphrasing y'all, Satan came to God and basically was like, let me do what I'm gonna do. And God was like, okay, I'm gonna step back, but you can't do this thing, whatever, right? And then throughout the rest of the story, it's a lot of just straight jump into, God, why did you do this to me? God, you did this to me. God, you did that to me. God, why did you do this to me? God, why did you allow this to happen to me? God, why are you doing this? Why are you sending this upon me? Blah, 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 blah. And God wasn't the one that was sending Job all those issues. Satan was. God had just stepped back. And even at the very end of Job, it was like, you know, family and friends and people who had basically like avoided him, they started coming back around him and basically consoling him and, you know, talking about what God had done to him. And I was just sitting there thinking like, but God didn't do that to him. Satan did that to him. And it says in the beginning that Satan was doing it. You know what I'm saying? And then that just made me think, because there's times in our lives when bad things happen, and I think that our first thing is to always be like, God, why'd you do this horrible thing to me? God, why did you send this horrible thing to me? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, but who's to say that God sent that horrible thing? Satan sends things too, and we are in the world. This is his dominion. So it's like, why do you think that this horrible thing that's happening came from God? Now, that's not to say that God won't allow you to go through certain things, right? He will, right? He will, but he's gonna use that for his glory. But when you think about it, all good things come from God, right? God is not the God of confusion. And I don't know, I feel like that part just was screaming at me, because I think that I personally need to practice more discernment and just recognizing like how much God loves me and how God really does talk to me, right? So that I'm not just jumping straight to, as soon as something bad happens, oh my gosh, God, why did you do this to me? God, why did you do that? Because it's not always that God did something. It could be that the enemy did something and God is just allowing it to happen because he's going to use it for his glory later. It sucks right now, right? But that doesn't mean that God isn't going to use it for his glory later on. And that's literally what happened in Job's life. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just makes me think about things a little bit differently. And then also the parts of Job where like his friends were saying things back to him, and then God was being like, y'all weren't right, y'all weren't speaking right on my behalf. And then God is like, yeah, but when it comes down to your friends though, like, I'm gonna need them to get the 7 rams and the 7 oxes or whatever they were, and I'm gonna need you to intercede intercede for them. And I love you so much that I'ma let you keep your friends, but I need you to pray for them because they were dead wrong. And I think that that in itself is also a testament to how gracious and merciful God is. And for me, I think that it kind of makes me think about how like you should intercede on behalf of your friends, like pray for your friends, try to talk sense into your friends. And like one of the things that Job's friends did not do was they did not pray for him. It just kind of like went straight into condemning him. You know what I'm saying? And in that, think about the people that you have in your life. Do you have friends who condemn you? Do you have friends who pray for you? Do you have friends that, you know, coddle you? Or do you have friends who hold you accountable? Do you have friends who bring God up and, you know, speak the word over you? Who do you have surrounding you? Who is there for you when times are hard? And of those people that are there, what are they saying to you? You know what I'm saying? Another thing, I'm sorry I'm kind of all over the place, but like I was talking to the Lord while I was like laying down, like I was like really going in, you know what I'm saying? So like I'm trying to just kind of like give you all my thoughts. Another thing that I feel like God was revealing to me was, and I felt this since like the beginning of Job, we are all so dramatic, but at the same time, like I can't judge us because like, are we really dramatic? Yes, we really are. But it's so easy to read a story in the Bible, right? And see how somebody is reacting and be like, and you have more knowledge, right? Because you know how it's going to end or whatever the case may be, and be like, oh, that's ridiculous. Why would they be saying all of that? Why would they feel all of that? Da, 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 da. Have they no faith in all of these other things? But when I was listening to Job say all the things that he was saying, I was like, oh my goodness, I have been here. I have felt this. He is articulating these emotions in words that I would have never thought to like, you know, put together, like, because that's not how I talk. But what he is saying, yeah, the emotion behind that, I have felt that. And I'm like, I can't sit and say that I think that Job is being dramatic. I can't. I understand from an emotional human level, that's how you be feeling when you going through something. And do you have friends who pray for you and give you grace and genuinely speak the word over you when you are struggling? Or do you have friends who are condemning you and kicking you when you're down and telling you that God basically feels like you deserve this? You need to really take stock of the people who are in your life, first and foremost. And then secondly, I feel like it's not for us to judge somebody else and say that somebody is being dramatic in their situation, because at the end of the day, you're not them. You're not going through the situation. You don't have the same mindset as them. You don't have the same emotions as them. You're not going to react the same way as them. So it's not your place to say, oh, this person is being dramatic in the way that they're handling it. They're handling it the way that they know how to handle it because it's their first time on this earth too. You know what I'm saying? They doing what they can with the information that they got. Is that maybe not the way that you would have handled it? Yeah, okay. But I don't think that that necessarily means that it's for us to then just like completely condemn that person. I don't think that's what we supposed to do. I know that it's very hard not to do that in some cases, but think about how merciful and gracious God is in your life and how often he extends you grace when you don't deserve it, right? Okay, now take that same thought process and then apply it to other people, right? Like, who are you to not extend grace to somebody? Obviously, don't just be giving out your energy to just any and everybody. Like, you know, use discernment, but who are you to judge and not extend forgiveness and grace when God so mercifully does it in your life every single day, even though you're not perfect and you do things wrong? And that's something that God has had to reveal to me. One, to make me be like, you know, let me step back and remember, like, God gives me grace all the time. And I be doing some things and I'm like, dang, I feel a lot of shame right now. I'm salty at myself that I just did that. Now I feel shame that I did that. I don't feel like I was being a good example of like a Christ-like mentality. I feel really bad now. You know what I mean? Also in that, God can reveal to me when other people are like also not being gracious. You know what I'm saying? And he makes me be more observant of that. Like, this person is not extending the grace that they have been saying to me that they want so bad and they're so desperate for, whatever the case may be. Like, I need you to do this thing in my life. I need this because God, blah, 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 blah. But then you watch them and then they don't do that same thing. You want everybody to give you grace and extend you grace and kind of just let you do whatever. But then when it comes to other people making mistakes, now you don't want to give them any grace. That's like the story in the Bible about the dude who he had a whole bunch of debt. The guy was like, you're forgiven. Then that guy guy went to the other guy who owed him money, which was like a significant amount less, and he's like, no, I want my money. So then he throws him in jail. So then the guy who originally was like, yeah, your debt is pardoned, he heard about it, got pissed, and he's like, nah, bro, you're done skis, like, you're through, I'm throwing you in jail. Like, you feel me? Like, no, God shows you mercy. You know what I'm saying? Show that same mercy to people. Nobody's expecting you to be perfect, but like, if you were pardoned, why are you then trying to hold that same thing over everybody else's head? You know what I mean? Like, extend some grace. Yes, hold people accountable, but I think there's a specific way that you can go about doing that without just like not extending grace to the person, if that makes sense. I want to just kind of like get it all off my chest. Oh, if you guys are enjoying this, you guys enjoy this type of, I guess, video, let me know. I don't know what you would consider this. Maybe kind of like a Bible study, like wrap up, recap type of thing. I know I didn't read it with y'all, but I started it with y'all and I told y'all I was reading it. I've been talking about this with God for a while. Like, maybe I should just share like my recap of it. I think that there's a lot of things to be taken from Job. One of those things being have faith in God and, you know, he'll restore and replenish everything that you lost, right? I think that's like one of the main things that people be like, oh yeah, go read Job and then you're gonna take this thing from it. But as much as I've heard the story of Job growing up, and as much as I feel like it's always been the thing to take from it is that Job gets everything back, reading it myself, and obviously, you know, like now I'm coming and I'm telling y'all, I'm just like, I'm seeing different things from it. I'm seeing things like I need to be more mindful of what I'm saying about God and what I'm claiming even is from God, and, you know, just practicing having that discernment and understanding that all bad things are not from God, but God will use all things for his glory. Everything bad that happens in your life is not because God was like, oh, I'm mad at you, send affliction. That's not what's happening. There was a conversation in Job on the back end that none of the humans knew about. And even at the end of the story, it still goes, people were consoling Job and talking about what God had done to him. When in reality, on the back end, it wasn't what God had done to him. It was what Satan had done to him and what God decided he was going to use for his glory. All God did was step back. He said, and God has all dominion. God said, okay, you can do this, but you still can't do these things. And if you read the whole story, you have like an understanding, then you will understand why certain things didn't happen. Like the whole, what did God say? God was like, you can do all of these things, but you can't take his life, right? He loses all of his children and his servants and all these other things, but you know who's still there? His wife, because his wife is a part of him. That's his life. So she's still there. Like, it just really makes you think about things so much differently. And I'm not a Bible study teacher, okay? Like, I'm not gonna explain it perfectly, but I just really want to talk about the other perspective that there is to get out of it. And I'm saying this also to me because I'm somebody that's just recently got out of a relationship, and it's easy to be delusional, right? And be like, oh my gosh, I just read Job, right? And God took everything from Job and then he gave it back. So basically God needs to work on me. And so he took this man from my life, but then once I get better, he's going to bring this man back and then we're going to have a great relationship and it's going to be perfect. No, that's not what that means. That is not what that means. That is not what that means. Okay. I have had to do a lot of reflecting, and let's talk about Lot's wife in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? God has had to have this conversation with me a lot of times. It is okay to look back and remember things with people and situations and have fond memories and thank God that, you know, you got to experience whatever you got to experience in that time. What's not okay is for you to physically turn around and try to go back to it if God has already removed you from it. And while in Job's case, he was giving back everything that was taken from him, the devil took that, right? The devil took that, God restored it, replenished it. I'm not saying that the relationship has ended because of the devil. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is I can't look at Job's story and then apply that to my life and assume that that means that my ex is going to come back in my life and now we're going to get back together and everything is going to be fine. That is not what that means. That is not what that means. You know what I'm saying? I'm thankful to God that I got to experience the things that I got to experience, but I can recognize that in the case of Job, yes, those things are restored and replenished. What God is gonna restore and replenish in my life is not necessarily that same exact thing that he took away. Yeah, that relationship is over, right? And there's things that need to be refined in me. God has to do a work in me. So once he has done his work in me and it is time to replenish and restore, he will replenish. He will restore a new relationship. You get what I'm saying? It's not going to be, oh, I just completely turned around, did a 180 and I went straight back to that person. I don't believe that that's what it means. Now, I want to also say that I understand that that is what happens in people's lives, right? God will have somebody come back and that'll be what it's supposed to be. In this case, I have had to have a lot of conversations with God about like, hey, is this what you're doing in my life? Is that going to be my story? Is he gonna just like come back? And then God is just like, no. And then I'm like, okay, well, I can't be delusional. Like I can't be overly delusional. You know what I'm saying? I know that it's not for me to fully comprehend like what it is that he's doing. I just have to have faith. So God has to like remind me of that. But maybe somebody else besides me needs to hear this. You can look back on anything, have fond memories, rejoice and thank the Lord that he allowed you to experience those things and have those emotions and get those memories. But in that, just because you're thinking about it and you're remembering it doesn't mean that you're supposed to go back to it. If God wants you to go back to it, then he'll call you back to it and he'll make that clear. And for me right now, it hasn't been that that's what God's doing. And I think that it's so hard to like discern between, am I just supposed to remember and say thank you? Or is God calling me back to it? I feel like in this time, God has been reminding me a lot of Lot's wife. You can remember those things, but I'm not telling you to go back. I'm telling you to go forward. And if you go back, you're gonna mess up what I'm doing. That's not to say that it's not gonna happen, but there's gonna be some delays. I've accounted for that, right? But if I'm telling you and I'm instructing you to not do this thing, it's gonna make it a little bit easier for you if you just trust me and you don't do the thing I'm telling you to not do. You get what I mean? And moving in that accordingly. It's hard. It's hard. You know what I'm saying? People can read the word and, you know, twist it to mean whatever they want it to mean, or you can really let the Lord speak through his living word. You can hear him at face value for what it is that he's trying to tell you, and then you can do that instead. Because I said it before, trying to do things your way is never going to get you the outcome that you think you want. It's not. You might get something that's rewarding in the moment, but you're not going to get something that's rewarding for life. Like, it's just not going to give that. And God will disrupt you. Like you'll feel this like disruption in your spirit. I don't know how else to explain it. But yeah, I feel like I've gone on and on and on for a while. I hope that this video was like coherent, because y'all have been thinking a lot. You know, thinking about past friendships, thinking about old relationships. What is God doing? What is he trying to tell me? What is he trying to show me? Like, I don't know. I know that I'm not a perfect person. And I think a lot of people know that. But I think what be hard for me is not staying in that place of knowing I'm not a perfect person. I know so loud and clear that I'm not perfect, that sometimes it's like the only thing that's there, and then it's very hard to remember what God says about me. But God always just kind of like breaks through that and he's like, what did I say about you? That other stuff, that's not true, daughter. Like, it's not true. No. So I feel like I just talked y'all heads off. If y'all enjoyed this type video, then please give it a thumbs up and comment down below that you would like me to do more of these, because I'm not done reading the Bible. You know what I'm saying? I do have more stuff to read. There are other books that I've already finished. I've just never like really talked about what I thought about them and how they made me feel at the end. I have conversations, you know, with God, and I ask him to reveal things to me when I'm reading the Bible, and I get a revelation, and sometimes I be feeling like very called out when I'm reading the word. You know what I'm saying? But if you guys would like me to explain stuff or like just talk about what I'm thinking, I like when the Bible is broken down in layman's terms a little bit. Like, I like to, you know, read it and then kind of like have a conversation with God about it and just kind of like paraphrase everything and then like get the deeper meaning from there. Like, you know, we gotta have a conversation. I want to make sure that I'm like understanding the right parts from the right parts and getting what I'm supposed to get from it. I wanted to just share this with y'all because I don't know, maybe somebody's going through something, or maybe somebody's reading Job right now and they're getting something from it, but it's not clicking the way you need it to click, or I don't know, whatever the case may be. I really hope and pray that this video touches you in some way and it helps you on your walk in some way. I always ask God, like, use me as a vessel. Please give me the words to speak. I'm not perfect. I don't think that I'm gonna always say the right thing or word it the right way, but if I'm doing the best I can to just let God flow through me and share with y'all what he is explaining to me, I'm doing the best I can, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing the best I can. Okay, but I love you guys so much. This was a really different video for me to do. It feels kind of crazy, so let me know if you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.